the way, they made it clear they weren't doing bridge here. They were always doing terms. So that made it a bit of a longer conversation,
Well,
too.
that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. Just in general, I have been looking at these guys who are legitimately great players, and I'm not so sure about the commitment to term all the time. I understand that people like security and guaranteed money and all those sorts of things. McTavish had 22 goals and 30 assists last year at 22 years old. His ceiling is to be what, an 80-point, 215-pound centerman. You know, if he goes 3 years, 4 years, he could make $15 million. You know, like, it just feels like these teams, I feel like teams are making great value deals right now. And I'm not so sure that agents have caught up to the idea that they're leaving a lot of money out there.
No, I think there are. Like I said, I think in this case, Verbeek made it very clear they were not doing bridge. And I heard that in several places, that Anaheim made it very clear that they were going for a term, and they just had to get to a place where both sides agreed. I think you're right. Justin, I'll tell you this. I think there are more players, particularly younger players, who are willing to do short-term deals right now. But we have a situation where the cap has really jumped, and there's a bit of a battle being fought between the agents and players who want to take advantage of it, and the teams who are trying to push back. Like, I've had a few managers tell me, and it's not collusion. Like, the whole thing with Kaprizov, nobody's offering Kaprizov 8x16 if there's collusion out there. But I think there is a feeling of, we have to hold the line, because the asks out there are getting really, really high and commensurate with where the cap has gone. So I think what's one of the reasons, like, you take a look at all these extensions for UFAs this year. Eichel, McDavid, I think, is a bit of a separate situation, but Eichel, Kaprizov, Alex Tuch, like, look at all the guys who are unsigned going into next year, and they haven't signed yet. And remember, everybody was talking about how Draisaitl waited last year until the first week of September. Well, now we're headed into October, and look at all of the uncertainty. And Justin, I don't think that's a term issue, but I think it is a percentage of the cap issue. So I think they are trying to wield their power. And I will say this, Justin, I've asked players before about signing shorter term. I'll say this, that, you know, the one thing that they all say to me is that they feel in hockey there's just such a huge risk of injury that a lot of guys will take the security.
You're watching and listening to Hockey Night in Canada and 32 Thoughts, Elliotte Friedman. So I would imagine between Kirill the Thrill and Connor, I don't know, the song and dance will continue.
Kirill, and I get the sense right now, Nick, that the Wild are kind of saying, this is where we are, 8x16. I think they're wondering two things. Number one, is anybody out, does he want to be here? And that's one thing they're trying to figure out. And number two, are we negotiating against ourselves? Like, just say, for argument's sake, they say, okay, we'll do 8x18. Do they really feel that there's anybody out there that's going to beat that? And if he wants to leave, he's going to leave for whatever anyway. So what's the point of raising the offer? So I think the Wild kind of let this sit and percolate and see where this goes, if anywhere.
The danger,
you know, McDavid,
Elliotte, the danger with these superstars is trying to hold on to hope. And we've said it best on what hope is, right? And, you know, if the it's the Marner and the Leafs. Like, now that we've had a chance to really reflect, did you ever think that there was a chance that Mitch Marner was going to ever sign in Toronto?
You know, the only thing I've said, Nick, is if they beat Florida, don't you think they find a way?
I based a lot of my feeling on they're banking on a big run, and he changes his mind, but it never came close. So I'm just wondering now, can Minnesota do the same thing? Can they just sit there and hope Kirill changes his mind?
Nick, I think you're bang on. I mean, one of the challenges there, and we learned this last year, is that Marner had the hammer with the no move clause, right? And Kaprizov's got the same thing. So you're limited in what you can do. But I think the thing you're 100% bang on right about is, it's like dating, right? It's like asking somebody out. If this person says no, Do I go back to them and
Yeah.
say, all right, I'm going to try to convince them to change their mind?
Yeah.
Or as the movie goes, he's just not that into you. You have to be honest about what the truth is.
And
McDavid,
we know you got plenty of experience there, right?
That's right. I understand. I've heard the line. There's
Learn to
plenty of
move
other
on.
fish in the sea. There's plenty of other fish in the sea. With McDavid, I just think it's. I don't know. My whole feeling on McDavid has been pretty honest. I think he's going to sign for short term. I think the number is going to be lower than we think. I think it's going to be below 16 if he stays there.
That's a shock to me if that happens.
Let Kirill lead the league in
I could see it. I could really see it. I think if he stays, then he's gonna. I mean, he wants to win. I think he's well aware that if he stays in Edmonton, they've got Draisaitl making 14. They've got Bouchard making 10.25. They got Nurse making 9.25. So 10.5, for Bouchard. I think he's going to say, I can't completely prevent them from building, right? So I still think he stays short term, and I'm willing to be proven wrong on that if it happens.
My 2 cents is Kirill is going to get traded. On to the Leafs here. One more Leaf-related question, and it relates to the whole league at large, which is, how hard is it to make trades right now? Every team has players. You're looking at the Leafs lineup. Today, their forward lines leave out Kampf, Yarncroc, Robertson, and
Yeah,
Pizzetta.
I saw that.
At some point, those are good NHL players, but I feel like every team has guys right now. It's really tough to make a trade at this time of year.
I think it's the one guy you mentioned, and I think it's a bit of a source of frustration for Robertson that it's lasted on this long.
Mm-hmm.
For me, with Robertson, the issue has always been that I don't know if worry's the right word, but he goes somewhere else and just scores, right? And then you just sit there and you say, oh, we couldn't have that. But I have sat next to you guys, and I really like watching games with you guys because I find that the thing that you guys do is you pick apart the defensive issues right away. Like, you see the mistakes in the D zone right away. And if the Maple Leafs are not confident in Robertson as a defensive player, there's no point in holding on to him. Just cut bait. So I think with guys like Kampf and Yarncroc, the problem is that teams are probably saying, what can we do with what can we get out of the Maple Leafs for doing this, right? And I think Toronto doesn't really want to do that. So I think that's part of the issues with those guys. Robertson, to me, it's more of an issue of, hey, what's going to happen when he moves on? And but that one, putting all these guys on waivers,
so yes,
do it anyway.
Yep.
You can't.